What's up, my 7,000 dudes, 7,100 dudes already? I can't believe it, man. 7,000 subs. Now, I don't want to scream too much over poured milk here. I know it's just 7,000, but if you realized how big of a wall I hit at 6,000 subs, then you would understand how much more this actually means to me, because like right whenever I got to 6,000, that is the biggest wall I've hit in my entire YouTube career. Like going from 3,000 to 6,000 subs was way easier than going from 6,000 to 7,000 subs. And I think the reason being is because there's sort of this like maximum MX Simulator viewer pool that you can get on YouTube. Like, there's only so many people that watch MX Simulator videos on YouTube, and it's not really all that big of a amount of people. It's just not. Like, if you only make MX Simulator videos, you're not going to get any bigger than 6,000 or 7,000 subs on YouTube. Like, it's just not going to happen. You eventually have to branch out and do other things to ever keep that consistent growth on YouTube. That's the only way to do it, because there's only so many people that watch MX Simulator videos on YouTube. And up until this point, I mean, I've made other videos here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty much been just a MX Simulator only channel. And that's really stunted my growth on YouTube. So I understand it's just 7,000, but I mean, it really does mean the world to me because of how hard it was to get through that sort of wall right there. Like, that's the biggest deterrent I've had so far on YouTube. It's the biggest blocker I've had so far on YouTube, was getting from 6,000 to 7,000. Now I'm already at 7,100. Now that I broke that door down, now we can go to 10,000. Now we can go to 20,000, and you can bet your ass we're going to do it too. So either way, this is the MX Simulator Turn Up Guide. Now, back in high school, they used to call me Turn Up Turley, but that was for other reasons, but we won't even get into that. So, now there's a lot of big tips and tricks with turn-ups in this game. Now, I do want to say with this gameplay right here, this is kind of just some, I'm like kind of showing you things not to do and showing you ways not to do it, and then here in a minute, I'll go in there and actually show you more so hardcore style turn-ups and stuff, but just kind of had this gameplay playing in the background. So let's let me actually go back to this real quick, and then I will fast forward this. But let me just talk for a second about just general turn up. Most any sort of whip guides out there or anything that you see, 99% of people that make those sort of videos, they're showing you whips on like a 500-foot jump that is completely impractical, that, you know, 99% of tracks out there don't even have jumps of that size. So, you know, you're never even really going to be able to whip like that unless you get on a very, very specific track. So what I wanted to do is come on into here into an actual 2018 Pro Supercross track and try to show you how you can do turn-up whips on actual, more so realistic, practical style jumps here. This video is not like showing you how big I can do turn-up whips in MX Simulator. This is not like a show-off competition. I'm just showing you how to do it. You understand what I'm saying? If I was wanting to show you how big of a turn-up whip I could do, I would do it on a 700-foot jump and whip it all the way, TP 720, 360 backflip, and land it and do some crazy shit like that. That's not what this video is about, okay? So one of the biggest tips to all whips and scrubs in general, but also turn-up whips, is you have to have speed. If you don't have speed, then you do not get that proper inertia where it brings the bike back around, okay? You don't come off the face right, first of all, and second of all, you know, you don't have enough forward momentum and actual mile per hour for that bike to naturally pull itself back around with inertia. So another big aspect of turn-up whips is it's all about the angle. You have to hit the jump at an angle. That's what makes it different than like a normal whip, I feel like, in this game. Like a normal whip, I feel like you can hit the jump more so like straight forward, but when it, okay, so right here I was kind of showing you how slow, and like kind of a slow motion version here. So with a normal whip, like, you can pretty much just hit the jump straight on, and you're doing like a half moon crescent C shape up the jump face. So let's just say you want the back end to come out to the right. Well, with a whip, what you would do is like you would go right at the base of the face. Let me just rhyme all day long, dude. You would go like left, and then up the face you would go right, and then right at the lip you go back left. So you're doing like left, right up the jump face, and that's what's going to swing that back end out. But with a turn up whip, you've got to go at more of an angle. You've got to almost like cut the track like up the jump face. You understand what I'm saying? You've got to almost like slice down the side of the track up the jump face to be able to do a turn up whip. And what you basically do is, like, for instance, let's say I'm wanting to turn the front end up over this triple up here, like to the left, okay, up towards that Race Tech sort of screen banner thing up there. If that's where I'm wanting to turn the front end up towards, what I'm going to do is, let me, okay, I was doing some like slow ass shit right here. Let me actually go to this one. I was actually doing some better turn-ups here. I may go back to that other gameplay here in a second to kind of show you what not to do, but, so let's see. Okay, so right when you get to the face like this, you can see how my front fender is basically almost pointed to the complete left edge of that jump face, okay? Like, it is not what I would call straight with the jump face whatsoever. And what you're doing is, instead of doing like left, right, left, like you would on a normal whip, you're basically like hitting it at an angle, and then you're like turning it right into the face, into kind of like the middle part of the face, and then when you get to the lip, you turn it back to the left, okay? So now at this point, like, you're basically just turning the front wheel more so than you are the back. And this, I guess I kind of did more of just a standard whip here. Let me actually see what that looks like. Yeah, that is a little bit more of a standard whip. I know I got a couple of better ones here in a minute, but a lot of times when you're trying to do a turn-up whip, you'll just end up doing a normal whip. You know, it won't look like super turn-up style, but it's just, you got to get that perfect angle to where you're only moving kind of the front end out more so than you are like whipping over the back end, okay? So let's see. Oh, got a little bit of it there. You could see how it was kind of, you see how it started going like just the front end. I kind of just moved the front end. That was a really shitty one, but let me fast forward this so I can show you real quick. Okay, there we go. That's more of what your turn-up whip is, okay? And the whole trick is, like, you got to hit it at an angle. You've got to have enough speed to where you actually get that inertia, but what you're doing is, like, you're keeping that angle all the way up to the jump face, and then right here at the face, you're seeing my front wheel turn into the face, right? So it's like, instead of doing the left, right, left, you're really just doing, like, right and then left at the lip on the face, but you're kind of carving it at an angle from the very beginning more so than hitting it straight on. So it's like I went right and then back to left in the air. So now it's giving you that opposite feeling more so than just that normal natural whip flow that you would get there. So I hope that makes sense. You guys know how whips are in this game. They're like, a lot of it is personal preference, personal setup, personal style. I'm not here to tell you like what your whips and turn-ups and all that should look like. I'll just kind of explain to you how I do it, and trying to show it to you on more of a practical style jump here. Obviously, like your bigger humongo jumps out there, you can really get turn-up whips going, but I think it's just, there's a certain level of more cool being able to do it on an actual like practical track like this. Like, you could actually do a turn-up whip in a pro race. You know, I think there's just another level of badass to that than there is like only being able to do it on this 300-foot jump on this custom track over here that no one's ever going to race on, you know? So there is definitely that element. Okay, now we're swinging her out a little bit here. So, okay, so you can see now, see that is a little bit more whip, but it's definitely more turn up than a lot of people's turn-ups out there. You know, a lot of times you'll get turn-up whips that just look like normal whips. They're not turn-ups at all, but it's just all about the angle at being able to come at a jump at an angle, and a lot of times, like just how the jump is on the track, you just can't even really hit it at a good angle like that. A lot of times it's like having a main triple like right out of a corner like that, where you're going up the inside of the corner, and that allows you to kind of get that natural swing around like that. But yeah, like the cool thing about this game with any whips or turn-ups or scrubs or anything, it does have that natural inertia to it, just like in real life, where you don't really have to pull the bike back around too much. It's going to kind of just naturally do that. You want to focus on getting that front end out as much as you can, and then the rest of the way down, it's going to just kind of naturally do it, you know? I mean, obviously you're pulling down a little bit, but it ain't like you're having to fight it to get it. You shouldn't have to fight it to get it back down if you do the turn up properly. Okay, so like that right there, that was way more of just a whip. You can see the difference in... Let me actually zoom this in a little bit more. So, see right here, I didn't get nowhere near the kind of angle. I'd already turned the bike almost straight with the jump face before I even hit it. So that was my first problem right there. Came off the jump face. That had a little bit of turn up, but that's way more of just your whip style. Whereas if we go back, let's get all the way back here. So you come down like this, see way more of an angle, way more of a turn up feel to it, right? And a lot of like your Axel Hodges style turn-ups, that's all done on super peaked out jumps in real life. Like, I mean, to be able to do a turn-up whip on a real life pro supercross triple, that takes some motherfucking skills, dude. Like, that is not a normal occasion where you would do that. So, but the thing about the freestyle jumps in MX Simulator, they're kind of weird in this game, so it's going to be hard to do turn-up whips on freestyle jumps. I guess, some of the best jumps to do turn-up whips on will be like a dirt-style freestyle jump in this game. A dirt-built, super peaked-out freestyle jump, and that's how you could really get those Axel Hodges-looking turn-up whips on it. You understand what I'm saying? But this is just more of a practical style thing here. So, yeah, that was a really shitty... I don't even know what that was. Let me go back to this. Let me get back in here and show you. But... yeah, so basically, like, it's so hard to try to sit here and tell you what I'm doing with the controller, like what it should feel like in your head when you're doing it and all that. That is a very difficult thing. See, that's way more of a normal whip right there. It's so hard to even tell somebody that, because it's... A lot of people would think that turn-up whips is like you just do it the opposite way than you normally whip. That's not really... the case. It's not that simple. Now, in your mind, you start to build this sort of memory and skill in your head of like, okay, this is how I do turn-up whips. For me personally, it's just something that's naturally hit my mind. Like, after doing normal whips for so long, then you just, and doing different variations of normal whips and stuff like that, like getting it pancaked, getting the front end down, getting it like a Jamester whip contest style whip, you know, different versions of whips you can do out there. You start to really learn all that in this game, and then you just naturally kind of work yourself into the turn-up whips. So for me personally, it was just something that I learned naturally. It wasn't like I really had to think about it, like, okay, this is how you do it, or let me figure out how to do it, or, I mean, it just literally naturally just came to me in this game. So, I mean, just that right there, the more you practice just whips in general, scrubs, playing the game in general more, you're going to get the turn-up thing down. You know, don't be too hard on yourself if you're not very good at the game, but you're trying to learn turn-up whips. Like, that's not the way to go about doing it, really. The way to go about doing it is just getting really fast in the game. That way you'll be able to actually have your speed. Like, for instance, if you're not a certain skill level on this track, you won't even be able to get the speed out of that corner to do a turn-up whip on it. You know what I mean? Like, you won't even be able to hit that inside right to even get enough mile per hour to be able to even do it right there. So, that is one thing that you'll notice is, like, if you don't even have the skills, it don't matter how much training and mental thought and learning and skill you have of it, there's a certain level of you got to actually do it and have the physical capabilities and skill on the bike itself before you can even do it. So there is that aspect for sure, and that's something I want you guys to always keep in mind when you're trying to learn whips or learn scrubs. Like, Ryan Villapoto is going to be able to, even though he doesn't even practice whips really or anything, he's going to be able to whip really good just because he's good on the bike. You understand what I'm saying? He just knows how that bike feels. He knows how the bike is in the air. He's able to hit jumps at the proper speed, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's not like Ryan Villapoto just sits there and practices whips all day long, but he can still whip that motherfucker over the finish line jump. You know what I mean? So, but whereas, like, when you get up to your Axel Hodges, some of those other guys, I mean, they're fast as hell too. Like, don't get it confused. Don't think that Axel can't run it pretty fast on a supercross track or a motocross track. He can. I mean, he's fast. It ain't like he's just, all he can do is do turn-ups and then he's slow everywhere else. That's not really the case. I mean, dude is fast. So it just goes to show you there's a certain level of just core skill you got to have before you can even really start diving into these more expert sort of skills out there. Now, obviously, if you just sat there and practiced it a lot, yes, you're going to get better at it. Like, I don't even really practice whips. I just don't. I don't sit there and just whip in this game. I probably should start doing that more. It'd probably be a lot of fun, but I'm always more of like I go as fast as I can every second I'm on the track in this game. You almost got to have that mentality when it comes to pro racing, because if you don't, then you'll find yourself goofing off in the middle of a pro race trying to, like, do turn-up whips and shit, and you're not even racing hard, you know? Now, I did actually do a turn-up whip over this triple in the pro race of this track right here, and that was a lot of fun. I was probably shouldn't have been doing that, but, you know, it's whatever. I was hanging it out there. And, yeah, but, I mean, it just comes down to, like, if I practiced it more, obviously I'd be better at it, but a lot of it is already because I have that core skill. Like, the ability to even be able to do that right there, even though that wasn't shit, I, like, barely even got it over. Like, you wouldn't really be able to do that and land it as a beginner in this game. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't even have the skill and the comfortability on the bike to be able to do that. And that goes with a lot of different things in this game, but especially whips and turn-up whips and scrubs and stuff. That is something that just kind of comes to you. You know, you just learn different things about it. So, either way, I hope this video helped. Let me just kind of reiterate here a little bit. I know I kind of got off on some crazy topics, but the most important thing is you got to have the angle, okay? Speed, angle, and you want to go like right, left over the jump face or left, right. You don't want to go like left, right, left like you would on a whip, or like right, left, right. You just want to go right, left or left, right. You understand what I'm saying? So that just gives you where it just kind of flicks the front end more so than it's actually whipping the whole back end around. That's really the only way to explain it. That's really the only difference that I'm doing. So that was more of just a natural kind of curve over scrub style whip right there. But that's the only way to explain it to you. I mean, there's really no other special thing to it. There's just not. It's not like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm not telling you about. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Now, all your different setups and, oh my gosh, man. I mean, there's just so many different things that can affect how quick you turn over the face of the jump. Like, if you've got a stock setup in this game, you probably can't do a turn-up whip, period. And you shouldn't be doing a turn-up whip if you're a beginner. Anyways, that's kind of the whole point of having a stock setup, so you can just learn the basics of the game. But once you get more to that pro level, then you've got enough movement to where you can actually start flicking that front end out and bringing it back, and you've got more of a loose style setup to where when you scrub and whip and turn up whip and all that, it doesn't feel so weird. It doesn't feel so like alien to you. You know, it doesn't feel so impossible to bring it back and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things, man. Over time, you just kind of get that natural feel for it, but it is really cool that you can actually do turn up whips in MX Simulator. Like, being able to do turn-up whips is not a normal thing in motocross video games. I mean, even in real life, turn-up whips has kind of been like this new thing that's came around in the recent past. I know Axel Hodges has really, you know, set the stage for that, done a lot of it, and then a couple dudes before him. But, I mean, this is kind of like a new thing when you look at it in a broad, big standpoint, and it's crazy that you can do it already in a video game, right? Like, you wouldn't think you would be able to do that in a game that came out in 2007 when they weren't even really doing that in 2007 as much. So that's kind of crazy right there when you think about it. Obviously, the game's had updates and stuff, but it shows you how good MX Simulator really is. It just does. The fact that you can even do a turn-up whip versus just a normal whip in the game. So either way, hope this video helped you guys out. Shout out to my sponsor, SquidSquadSTL.com. He's got some of the cheapest motocross clothing on there, so I appreciate all the support. Like I said, thank you for the 7,000 subs. Meant the world to me, without a doubt. We're going to keep working, dude. I told you we was going to do it. I swear I told you I'm in this bitch for eternity, man. Like, we ain't stopping right now. We're going to keep going. We're going to do this thing. So, either way, I appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.